Next time you're waiting at a train station or watching a massive locomotive thunder past, look all the way down. Beneath those giant steel rails and heavy wooden ties, you will always see the exact same thing. Stones, millions of them, rough, gray, jagged rocks stretching out for thousands of miles across the country. It doesn't matter if you're looking at a track in India, Europe, or the United States. The rocks are always there. But have you ever stopped to wonder why? Why do we rest our most advanced, million-pound high-speed trains on a loose pile of crushed rocks? Why don't engineers just bolt the entire track down to a solid concrete highway? The answer isn't about saving a buck. It is a brilliant piece of physics that prevents the train from literally sinking into the dirt, and it hides a forgotten history that connects modern railroads to ancient sailing ships. To understand the rocks, you first have to understand the sheer weight of the problem. A fully loaded freight train weighs millions of pounds. If you placed that staggering amount of pressure directly onto bare soil, the ground would collapse. The tracks would buckle, warp, and the train would instantly derail. This is where the stones technically known as track ballast come to the rescue. Think of a railroad track as a structured layer cake. You have the steel rails on the very top. Those rails sit on the horizontal beams, which we call sleepers or ties, and those ties rest directly inside the ballast. The job of the ballast is to act as a giant pressure cushion. It takes the crushing, concentrated weight of the train and spreads it out over a massive surface area, ensuring the ground underneath never gets compressed. But here is the most shocking part. The tracks are not actually attached to the earth. If you look closely, the entire railroad is floating on the stones. Instead, the track relies completely on friction and the heavy weight of the ballast to stay put. This clever flexibility allows the rails to absorb the violent vibrations of a roaring train rather than snapping under the intense stress. But why use these specific, ugly rocks? If you picked up a piece of railway ballast, you'd notice it's incredibly sharp and jagged. You will never, ever see smooth, round pebbles on a train track, and there is a strict engineering reason for that. Imagine walking across a pit filled with smooth marbles. You'd slip and slide everywhere because round shapes roll over one another. If a heavy train went over smooth stones, the rocks would simply roll away under the heavy vibrations, and the entire track would slide apart. Instead, engineers use crushed granite or quartzite that has been mechanically smashed into sharp, angular shapes. The water instantly flows right through the open gaps between the rocks and safely away from the tracks, keeping the foundation bone dry. On top of that, the thick layer of stone acts as a natural weed killer. Plants can't easily take root in a mountain of dry rock. If a jungle was allowed to grow through the tracks, the roots would break up the soil and destroy the stable foundation. Before we finish, there is one last incredible secret. Why do we call them ballast? That word actually comes from the high seas. Centuries ago, when empty wooden sailing ships crossed the ocean to pick up cargo, they were too light to sail safely. They would bob uncontrollably in the rough waves. To weigh them down, sailors would fill the bottom of the ship with heavy, discarded stones. This weight was called ballast. Once the ships arrived at port to load up their real goods, they would dump the stones onto the shore. Early railroad engineers looking for a cheap, heavy material to stabilize their brand new tracks saw these massive piles of discarded ship stones and realized they were perfect. They recycled the ship's ballast for the train tracks. So the next time you see those gray rocks, remember they aren't just gravel. They are a self-draining, weed-fighting, weight-bearing engineering masterpiece that has kept the modern world moving for 2 centuries. If this design secret surprised you, hit that like button and subscribe for more hidden stories behind the untold ordinary we see every day. Thanks for watching.